Recording in progress.
We are now recording and we are here for the November 9th regularly scheduled Village of North Bennington trustee meeting. We do have a quorum, some in person and some on Zoom, and we have others soon to be coming in. Well, Ray is just walking in. So let's wait just a minute or so Ray can get himself situated, and then we will start the agenda.
How's it going?
But while we're waiting for this, does anyone, here comes Tara, does anyone, any member of the public that has not seen the agenda, does anyone in the audience or elsewhere have a request to change the agenda? No? Okay, seeing none. I guess Tara signed up here and so. Button not fall off my chair.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we should all be fairly situated. All right. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on November 7th, 11th, and the special budget meeting of last week. Hold on, somebody's coming in the waiting room. Oh. Okay. I don't see who we got. Anyway, we've got the two meetings to do. That was Ray's motion to accept both. Are we making one motion for both? Making one motion for both.
I'll second that.
Seconded there. Matthew, you're the only one in the room. You get a thumbs up there. No other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. Moving along. Payment of bills. We have one. Thank you. We have just one warrant, so.
Yeah, I did, the late warrant was not too big for November, so I put that on with the December warrant. So there really isn't too much, out of the ordinary. We talked about the paving actually, ironically, at the last meeting, so that is that bill. Lori confirmed that that is, not including the last bit of paving that they're going to do on Welling Road. So that amount, $114,579.04, covers the bulk of what was to be done. The remainder is all things normal. Again, some of the other agency payments that have gone out in December, majority in November, some in December. So you'll see those on there.
Okay.
And unless there's any questions, the total for the minutes, Lori, is 144,518.87.
Any questions from trustees?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Scott. Second. Seconded by Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Including Matthew. Okay, thank you. That's done.
And payroll,
Yeah.
standard payroll for November, 2 pay periods, 2 retirement checks. Yeah, send yours fine around. 2 retirements, 2 pay periods.
Sorry, I just didn't print.
Oh, we're good. And 1 AFLAC. So the grand total for November for payroll was $17,755.90.
Questions? No? All right, I'd make that motion, accept that. Second. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Zipping right along. Doug, stay there with the treasurer report.
Okay. want me to go into budget now or wait?
Whichever if you don't have much of a report, go directly.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give, I
Whatever you-
have a little bit of a report and then I'll go right into that.
You're up for the next two items.
Okay, perfect. So quick update for delinquent taxes, as we were talking about them last month to this month, or last meeting to this meeting. We've had over $35,000 in collections over the last, week and a half. Again, not unusual. We're still ahead, like I said, of last year. The items that we talked about are still the outstanding ones. So, towards the end of this month, those will move forward, to discussion with, Attorney O'Toole.
Okay.
Next two items for me, over the next 2 weeks, I'm catching up on small items, that get pushed to the back burner during tax season. So you'll see a few reports come out over the next couple of weeks, the updated cash flow, cash balances, those types of things. I'll get those out over the next couple of weeks. I was just telling Mary, next week, I'm going to, email with the audit firm to find out what the last couple of things that they need and hopefully get that wrapped up. I'm going to be quote unquote out of the office for the 2 weeks for the holidays, so I'm trying to get things wrapped up before that. I'm not going anywhere, so if there's emergency things need to happen, that's fine. But for the most part, I'll be out of office for the last 2 weeks of the month. So that's my general report, unless anybody has any questions, and then we can jump back into the budget.
None, seeing none, go for budget.
Okay, so the only real, item or department is the fire. I met with Chief Myers and, Assistant Chief, we'll call him Andy because he's also Myers, but, so I met with Ed and Andy, this past week, great meeting. Good discussion with them, as far as where they're at. They did give a little bit of good news. They have, I forget if they said 2 or 3 new members that they've signed up.
Nice.
So they were happy about that. So, you know, work those things into the budget for training and those types of things. Very similar conversation to what we had with highway and general, modest increases to certain items. So we're similar to what we did with the treasurer and bookkeeper, we're gonna start combining the special police and the officer and drill pay.
Yeah.
At end of the day, it ends up being the same folks.
Yeah.
So to have a line item for $250, $500 doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're gonna flow that up, and the line item doesn't really change year to
No,
year.
it doesn't.
So once that's factored in, for officer and drill pay, they're looking a modest increase from a little over 4,500 to 5,800. And again, part of that increase is moving the special police up to that line item. We kind of discussed the replacement items that are on a year to year, which we have broken out to 3 items: fire department new equipment, fire department gear, and then firefighter gear. The good news for firefighter gear, they've completed the replacement of all existing members. So they've reached that threshold. So now we're gonna keep that as a line item basically for one set. So if they do get a new member, they have it budgeted.
Good.
And if something happens, they need to do a replacement out of, and then, you know, several years down the line, they're gonna look to start to stay ahead of the schedule. So it doesn't all hit at once like it did the last time around. So that one is going to stay. They can get the full set for just under 8,000, so we're gonna keep it at 8,000 for this coming year. It's fluctuated over the last couple of years because again, we've replaced the full, how many ever members that they have. Then we increased the new equipment, which is things around the firehouse and on the trucks, because Chief Meyer says there will be some things they'll need to replace. Nothing major. The big items, the tanks and things are still about 8 years, before we have to have a full
There's a
cycle.
reserve for
Yeah, and we're
those.
replenishing that over the next,
What tanks are you talking?
they're oxygen tanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have, I forget what the full lifespan is, but basically there's an 8-year left before they're mandated. So obviously if there's an issue with one, they replace it. But from a they can't use that particular one anymore. It's approximately 8 years out before they have to do a full replacement. So then the gear replacement, which, is similar, that's only being increased by about 1,000.
You're going up to 11,000, is that what you're saying?
No, the line above that, so from 5,500 to 6,500.
Thank you.
The 10,000 is actually dropping by 2,000, that's the one that's the turnout gear.
Okay.
Yeah, that's their gear, so now, like I said, they're gonna try to just keep enough for one set in case they get a member or something happens to one particular set or things like that. Training, let's see here, so we went up 500. Chief Myers feels right now the officers are in a good place, so now it's about getting the newer folks in the training and moving them up through. Right now they're at about just under half or just over half of their annual budget. So again, he feels comfortable with that. Gas or fire truck maintenance, we went up by 1,000. Again, just like we talked about with highway, you never really know what's going to come up there. Gas and diesel, we did level fund that because from the 2 years prior, it was came in under, but with not knowing where gas prices are, same thing we did with highway, we just kept it at a level number.
On the fire truck maintenance,
Yes,
does that include, don't they have an annual service at the people who sold us?
well, they have, there are certain things that they would do, but then there is, the normal maintenance and things like that, like.
This is separate from that kind of.
Correct, because they have 3 trucks, so this covers
Right.
basically anything that's not under a warranty or under a contract.
Okay.
That's what this is covered, yes. So gas and diesel, firehouse expenses, again, that's all of your utilities, things that would need to be replaced. So again, we went up 1,500 with, electricity going up, oil, those types of things. Communications level funded, Chief Myers feels that where it's at, he said they've changed some of their services, so they may come in under budget this year. And then if it does it again, he'd feel comfortable moving it down, but he doesn't want to jump the gun. And then right now we have slight increases to the reserves. Again, so those numbers will all be as I start to file through everything.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a good meeting, and that's kind of where we landed to start working from.
Sounds good. Wow, we're like ahead of time. Any questions on this?
No, I think that's excellent.
Okay.
It sounds like we're really on top of things first.
Yeah, so what'll happen next is I'll work on the numbers, lay out some scenarios, and I think you have it for the regular January meeting, correct, for the budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll have probably the first week in January, because our meeting is actually later in January.
I think so.
So I'll have stuff out by that first week in January, maybe a scenario A, B, I don't know if I'll need to do a C. And then discussion will be at the January meeting, folks will vote on what'll get put in the annual report and presented to the public for vote.
Sounds good.
Lori, while the annual report was mentioned, is there, excuse me, is there anything that you need to report or get out there for what you'll need for the annual report and your deadline?
Well, was hoping that I'd have more than one report by now. I only have one. So I'll do my yearly reminder, I guess. And thank you, Jenny, for the report. Typically by the 10th of January, I need all reports in.
Okay, well,
Now, Lori, with the meeting being on the 13th, we're probably gonna have to push that back though, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can, you know, I would go to the 16th or that
Okay.
weekend.
Yeah.
That's typically what we do. That's fine.
So what'll happen is, I mean, that'll be the last report that I give you. My other two reports I can get to you.
Yeah, that's
you know, well
fine.
before that. And I'll have it ready to go, and then it'll just be, if there's any changes that happen at that meeting, I'll do it in real time, and then I can just send it to you the next day.
Sure.
Before the end of the year, I'll have a draft of the village report. And then all the committees, we need reports from all the committees. So if one or several of us are on a committee or commission, we'll work on that report too.
Right, and then I see a lot of people at this meeting that actually, you know, the zoning administrators report and the planning commission report and the development review board report.
Yeah.
A lot of you are already at this meeting,
Yeah.
so you heard me say that, so thank you.
So we will endeavor to get them done before the end of the year so that people have a little bit of time to review them. And any questions, comments, or changes can be done by our regular meeting.
Perfect, thank
If
you.
that works, okay. All right. Then, speaking of, thank you, Jenny. Jenny is here to present her annual update. Please, wherever you wish to go.
You're close enough that the mic can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, so let me know if this is too close, so I can like have,
Well, I'm seeing, I know we're there.
Matthew, can you hear Jenny okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Then go for it.
Okay, well, it's been another exciting year. Just kind of productive and busy. I'm really proud of our community for showing up and reading and exploring the world together. So we have, I was looking through the report here that I'm so glad y'all have. I know I can't rest during Thanksgiving if I don't have this done.
Yeah.
Like that's, you know, what could I be doing right now? So we had a really strong year. We had a 24% increase in circulation, which is, again, I keep on getting blown away by your reading habits, everybody. So keep at it. Some of that is due to the fact we had a few more libraries join our lending consortium this year. So including the Kellogg Hubbard Library in Montpelier. So you have access to all of those items and all of their members have access to these items. So that accounts for some of it, and digital was a healthy proportion of that increase. We also brought on Newsbank, which is access to newspapers, including the banner. So if you want to get hooked up with that, stop by, happy to show you how. It's also 5,000 other small town newspapers and all the big ones in Vermont. So it's a tremendous resource. And Heritage Hub, which is obituaries and death notices. So you can do a little genealogy there. I found out some things, which was interesting. Let's see, I think some of the highlights this year include our summer reading program. This year we had 164 kids register. And together they reported 322,055 minutes spent reading this year.
Good for them.
Our finale event over at the Park and Color House with a West African drumming and dance ensemble at the end of August. I think we had almost 90 people attending and dancing and having a great time. So having watched that initiative grow over, this is the end of my 10th year in this director position, has been just incredible. And I think the other thing to point out is that we are less than 33,000 away from our $500,000 fundraising goal to complete the McCullough Library's Equity and Sustainability Fund. And who knows, these last 3 weeks of the year, things happen. So we might be even closer at the end of this month. But that fund, the $500,000 match, completes a $1,250,000 gift that was given to the library, is held at the Vermont Community Foundation. And the proceeds from that are earmarked specifically for staff, for salaries and benefits, and allowed us to increase our number of hours that are open to the public. So it's been a real, I don't want to say like paradigm shift or anything like that, but it has been. It's really kind of changed the game quite a bit. And evidently it's what the public wanted to. So here's what we're doing. In the year ahead, we are, thanks to a grant we received, a $20,000 grant we received for new shelves on the first floor. So this means new uniform wooden locally constructed shelves that are placed at intervals that are accessible to people who need to get around in a wheelchair or walker or cane. And it'll also make the collection a lot more visible. So we've been at work sort of resizing the collection to fit those new shelves. That likely means we'll be closed for about a week. I have no idea how to do this, so we'll be figuring it out in real time. And we'll also, thanks to a grant from the Fund for North Bennington, replacing the carpets on the first floor and up the steps. So that'll probably happen after the shelves are in. So keep an eye out for some repairs that way. Yes.
Question, if the library is closed for that period of time, would it be anything like COVID where somebody could order a book and have it just by appointment pick up?
You know, because it's going to be such a short period of time, we're going to let everyone know to come and stock up.
Okay.
Beforehand, and hopefully we can get this done very quickly. But I don't think it's going to be a prolonged. Okay, how we do this. Another thing I'm looking forward to in the year ahead is the I wanted to apply for it's the Housing and Urban Development Grant. There's about a $400,000 grant that I have an opportunity to apply for. And this will be for walkways. I'm going to focus on the library's front walkway, the steps, the brickwork on the porch. And if I have my druthers, we're going to get the foundation and the ramp work done. Basically, the first floor of an elevator addition, just the foundation, like just the floor. So we can build the rest of it around it. And I think that should, and I think the gutters tie into it somehow. So the gutters. Again, nothing's for sure, but I'll definitely be pursuing that.
And just so the trustees and the public know, Norm has agreed that he can, if it would help the library with that grant application and receiving it, Norm can work on fixing, there's some uneven marble paving in front that's the village's responsibility, not Jenny's, but we could have that done at the same time and report that within this grant. So we'll do our best to help and make sure that can be done.
Thank you. Thank you, Norm.
Sure.
And to be clear, we are asking for, I think it's a 3% increase in funding for the year ahead. We've also increased our fundraising obligation from 50,000 to 60,000 in the year ahead.
Was I reading your number right? 33,075. Was that your
Yes,
number?
that's what we're requesting
Okay,
for the year ahead.
That's what I had put in when I was
Okay.
looking. I wanted to just make sure. Thank you.
So that's kind of where that is.
Nice. Questions for Jenny from the audience, from anybody on Zoom?
Very good.
Is it 33,000?
Yeah, so their budget, their allocation in this fiscal year is 31,500. They're requesting an increase to 33,075.
And I believe Will has a question.
Okay.
What's the new timeline of the restoration?
I hope the carpet will be in and done February by our open house in March, so we can welcome everybody that way. That's the whole, that's.
Great.
Since we're a little bit ahead of time, it's not on the agenda, but I don't know if you and Tara want to say anything about, it just popped into my head about Winterfest.
Yeah, mark your calendars. Winterfest is Saturday, January 25th. That's the Saturday, 28th, 25th, 20-something, 24th. Oh.
24th.
24th,
Yeah.
January 24th. It's shifting from noon to 4. But the idea is there's a lantern making at the different stops in town, and then we have a lantern parade from Lions Park and an after party at the lake for those who are interested. So,
And we will put any flyers, et cetera, we can put them on the website. But the couple of meetings that I've been able to sit in and figure out, it sounds like it's just gonna be a fun-filled, packed day with adventures and things for people of all ages and abilities.
I think the Lions are doing Chili Fest.
Yeah.
There's music, art, crafts.
Yeah.
Family fun, grown-up fun, all sorts of fun.
Yeah.
So it ought to be a good time.
And that is, for those who don't know, that is the North Bennington Roundtable that organizes that. And our Tara is a member and kind of a founder of that group.
Only
Well, you
because
were kind of a founder.
they contacted every organization that was a business in town, basically put us all together.
Well, you helped too. And I know Jen does a lot of the organizing and all the meetings are there, so thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will Greer, our representative, is up next. And Will, I really do want to thank you because at least in the probably 15, 18 years that I've been either coming to meetings or been involved in it, we've never had a representative come and do the regular updates that you have. So thank you for that, because it's a huge public service.
And we'll continue to do it even remotely while I'm in Montpelier. That way we get a good little group.
Good.
Should I turn my chair and maybe sit here just so the audience, I feel bad having to go back.
Yeah.
Actually, why don't you go to that side and keep the owl over on that side?
I'll move the owl a little bit so it's not right up on your face.
Yeah.
Or
Do a little sound check before we
Okay,
start.
can everyone hear me on Zoom?
Matthew, can you hear?
thumbs up for those who can hear.
And I tend to go a little more quiet when I speak, so if you need to tell me to be a little louder, okay. Right, we're good?
Kim, Bob and Bob, thumb up if you can hear. Got it, okay.
Okay, so I'll just real quick jump into what we discussed last week on Wednesday in the legislature. We had our legislative briefing, which was due pretty much right before we go into session. So we're about to kick off another round of legislation in the next calendar year. And I'm going to start off with the fiscal updates that we received. So our 3 big funds. I'll start with the bad news and maybe get to better news. So the bad news is that our transportation fund in recent years has usually been below projected target levels. We're down by about 2% of what we projected it to be at this point in the calendar year. Not the fiscal year, calendar year. That pretty much because of the decrease we're seeing in gasoline taxes and things along those lines. I know Representative Corcoran, he's on transportation. He's been having talks about how we're going to improve the fiscal health of the transportation fund in years to come. The education fund is about on target. I think we're talking about like 5 figures, like 10, maybe $100,000 off from what they projected out of the hundreds of millions that's in the education fund. So pretty much right on the money of what we expected.
Up or down?
Slightly down. I think we're talking like it's not even negative 0.1%. I mean, it's very small, but it'll fluctuate, once we get there. And there's a little margin of error on that. The general fund's about 1.5% above target right now. We've been seeing that pretty consistently since COVID, I believe, is when it's been above target. So those are the three new funds. I received a round of applause for this yesterday in the select board meeting. I don't know if it's worthy of applause, but we are the only tourist center in the state that has seen a net positive increase in the number of tourists compared to last year. That's because we do not rely as much on international markets. With Canada, there are some tourist centers up north that have seen a 42% increase in the number of tourists. Our positive number is about 4.5%. I think it's 4.3, something around that. So there's that to consider.
Can I, do you mind if I pop in a question, because I won't
Yeah,
remember? I'm wondering, since Jeannie's here, would you know if that, if the 250th celebrations and those events that are going on, have they been part of the support of the tourist
Sure.
business?
Sure. I think
it's huge amount.
Not-
There are a lot of international tourists that come to Bennington.
Okay,
Yeah, but
From Europe, by
Okay.
jet.
oh, okay, I was just curious if there was some reason why we're the only one.
well, I think probably this is just my hunch. I think that we do have a larger domestic market than probably the rest of the state, given that a lot of the population centers that come down are in Canada. I mean, they've covered it pretty extensively, I feel like, in the papers, but you're right that we have people that come from Europe and Asia. And I feel like that's probably consistent elsewhere in the state. I don't think it's probably just Bennington specific, but definitely we have a totally different international market than up north. So that's just a quick little fiscal update. Act 73 updates, education, that's the big thing that the village cares about. So good news on that. They're not proposing any sort of mandatory consolidation. We are just going back to what they did in Act 46, which is voluntary mergers. They announced that about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Let me correct you on that.
Yes.
Act 46 had built in involuntary mergers. So it's a change from Act 46.
Oh,
If they go to Act 46 text, then they will still be doing involuntary mergers.
okay, so they're not doing voluntary, let me correct myself. So with Act 46, that was the case. With Act 73, right now they're designing incentives. They just released a report, I want to say it was a few days ago. I have not read that report yet, I'll be perfectly honest. My understanding is that they're going to tell us all the options that they'll do for people that want to merge the districts. But the point is that no one's going to be forced to merge as it stands right now. They did not even attempt to design the map. I don't know why. I've not spoken to people in depth about why they decided not to at least propose something for people to ponder. You know, we saw the 12, districts that they kind of configured. We saw the CTE models. We saw the governor's original plan that was introduced. So, I mean, we've seen concepts, but we didn't get anything concrete. Because at the end of the day, I've also, tried to relay that to people that if they had put out 3 maps, the legislature still had the option of not approving any of those maps. And so I would have thought after going through this whole ringer of an ordeal, talking about how consolidation's the answer, you would think they would have at least attempted to do it. But one thing that I will give them is that I don't think it's a complete failure. So I also want to preface that I didn't vote for Act 73, but even though I didn't vote for it, doesn't mean I want to see it fall flat on its face. I at least would like to see the good elements that were in there that, are in good faith, I believe, and at least try to see those, come along and maybe something comes out of it. But there were a lot of things, and I'll go into some of them that they're still pursuing. And there's some that I think are good and some that I think are not so
I
good.
think Ray has a question.
Oh, yeah, right.
So that sounds like a response to Zoe Saunders' piece that was in the paper.
For recent commentary.
Yes. I mean, that you're going to, the legislature, this is the House, I think, is deciding that it's going to stick with voluntary arrangements.
Yeah, and we don't know what the incentives are gonna be. They're probably gonna be financial. And so I'll just dive into the foundation formula real quick. they're still gonna be working on that, and that's the main piece. So the rollout, implementation timeline is still 2028. So we do have a few more fiscal years that the school district would go through, before anything's, changed dramatically. But some of the things that they're still moving forward with are just general education standardization. So I'm not gonna miss any. The one that I was very much against in Act 73 was the class size minimums, because that really impacts the graded school district here quite a bit. The other one was the state aid for school construction program. So that one, I think we haven't seen school construction on a mass scale, and probably, 20 years ago when they built the Mammoth Union Middle School. That was the last major project at that time. We've been doing deferred maintenance since then on pretty much every building in the state, unless a local district's approved a separate bond measure that their taxpayers voted for. They're still assessing criteria for schools, which was very restrictive on ours here in the graded school district. Was not in favor of that. The capped homestead exemption and new property tax classification, that was one of those things that I was hoping they would continue to develop. But in typical fashion, you get the business associations that come in and say, we don't want a property tax reclassification. So that got killed. And I wish they had kept, working on that, but, people come in and they say what they want, and some people listen, but there was still a group of us in the legislature that wanted to see some kind of property tax reclassification for certain properties. I think they put it in as a study, so maybe that study will come back and propose something, but right now there's nothing concrete set on any kind of changes in classes for that. And then of course, they're gonna keep working on graduation requirements and special education delivery. I'm gonna jump into the tax letter because everyone's read about the December tax letter last week where the statewide increase is about 12%. We're probably gonna see both in Bennington and North Bennington, we'll probably see a higher number because of the fact that we are in the reappraisal year. I know people have been getting their letters, we got ours, property's been reappraised and it went up. And that's gonna be concerning for a lot of folks. I don't know what North Bennington's situation's like from.
Where's your property located that you got a letter?
That's January Parks. We don't have to dig into it here, but I'm just.
North Bennington hasn't started yet. We fall under Bennington.
So we got our Bennington tax, we haven't got, so North Bennington hasn't sent out. Is that what?
What letter are you referring to?
Our town tax letter.
I haven't seen one.
I swear we got it and we went down, okay, maybe it was, I swear we did.
Yeah.
Because my understanding was that, so the majority of North Bennington taxpayers fall under Bennington, okay? The village of North Bennington doesn't hold any property records.
Yeah.
So we have 600 some odd parcels, 400 plus fall under Bennington. 200-ish are Shasberry ID. We only collect school. So those folks would be as part of the Shasberry who are already underway. My understanding from my last conversation with John at the office in Bennington was that it was not even to begin until 2026, and that's later in 2026.
Well, so then maybe that was something that was on our recent property tax letter. I'm not trying to disclose James' financial information right now, so my apologies.
No, right, I'm because, I'll get from time to time folks wondering when it's coming, so everybody knows it is.
Yeah.
But I wasn't under the impression that the timeline had started yet for reassessment.
So then maybe that's my misunderstanding. So let me clarify is that I'm understanding that the reappraisal, it's gonna go up when it goes up, whether that's starting in 26 or starting in, that's just what I've heard. Okay, so but you probably know more than I do, so I don't want to spread misinformation, but it is a reappraisal.
Right, I would just caution saying that your property's gonna go up. Because that's not the point of a reassessment. The reassessment isn't to increase your property, it's to get a fair market value.
Yeah.
So a reassessment doesn't automatically mean your property's going up.
It absolutely.
It doesn't mean your taxes go up because there's already a common level appraisal adjustment, which however accurate that is.
And the grand list number will change, which will impact the tax rate.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I won't dive into that much more. My apologies for that. But what I will give you are the exact numbers that we got in that fiscal, briefing that we got last week. So the legislature has surplus funds right now of $21 million that we can use to buy down that 12% that they're projecting right now.
So now, part of that 12% is actually the buy down from the last legislative session, which the governor pushed through. And that's about better than half of that 12% is due to the previous buy down. So I don't see how we're gonna have another buy down.
Right, so that's the problem with buy downs, is that right now, I think people expect a buy down. It's become so traditional at this point. But what we are doing when we buy it down, when we buy it down last year from 5.5%.
You have to balance the budget, so you're gonna have to generate the money to pay that back.
Yeah.
Could you explain what a buy down?
Well, it was roughly 12% last year as well, projected increase. And the governor said, we'll take 21 million, I think it was, somewhere in that neighborhood.
7 million.
What?
It was 77 million.
I said, okay, sorry. A bigger number than I thought.
Yeah.
At any rate,
The education fund?
From both education and general, I'll let Ray.
That came from the general fund and stuff like that. And it went into the education fund to lower the tax
Lower
rate.
the taxes, okay, so that's a buy down.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
it's a temporary.
It's, because it's all gonna come back, and it's as simple as that. What last year's buy down looked like was the 77 million in the surplus, that they had available. Plus, I believe it was 41 million, roughly 40 million from general funds that was put into it. That was something what I wanted to see happen, was because we knew that this was gonna happen this year, where the surplus fund was gonna be at 21 million, it's gonna be lower. And what we wanted to try to do, a group of us wanted to see it be less than 77 million, maybe go in at 40 million or something. Compromise, that's apparently what the legislature's got. But to push off some of that to this year so that it would at least be consistent and stable, even though you're still essentially putting it off to the next year, you're just, kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
But that's,
My whole point is that the 12% is a bit of a red herring, because the increase in spending is expected to be about 5 to 6%, but you've got this budget albatross hanging around your neck because of last year's budget.
and I think it should also be noted when we put out that December tax letter, or when the tax department puts it out, it really, I think it puts a lot of pressure on school boards, even though part of that increase, as we were just talking, is because of the legislature, because of the fact that we keep doing that. So so the letter this year, we're hoping that there are additional funds that do come through, and there may be something to help people. But again, we're just gonna run into the same problem next year if we keep buying it down.
Yeah.
I'll move into healthcare. This is maybe actually some good news. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Can I ask you, so there are 18 independent schools that are still, in a position to receive, tuition from students. There are only 5 elementary schools in that, and 2 of them are in North Bennington. Which is pretty remarkable that Southshire and Village School have jumped through the tremendous number of hoops they needed to jump through to still be in existence. Or able to receive students' tuition. Do you see the legislature as making a priority to work on the minimums for class size averages, and also the way they've assigned basically no multi-level groupings, which obviously because Southshire has younger, middle, and older.
Beyond two grades, you
Yeah.
can do two.
And but they're assigned grades
Right,
too.
yeah.
It's not just randomly you choose your two grades.
Fair.
So do you see the legislature focusing on that, or do you think that is, that's something that, is more of a, they care less about?
I think that they are going to focus on that because right now, the people, at least in the House, I cannot say the same for the Senate, but in the people that are at the head of this in the House that have been assigned and put there are very much against independent schools. They do not want to see the independent schools receive public tuition dollars. That is their mission. It became clear after we had the first vote for 454 when it was still going through the legislature, because at that time, I voiced my concerns for 454. And this was in early March, right when we got back from town meeting. And I said, you know, I don't want to give up hope on this, even though you're putting a lot of unnecessary burdens on my schools in North Bennington that do a good job, that do have a low per pupil cost. And it's an option that people want within the district. And I, you know, there were other things as well with public schools here, the SVSU as a whole, that it also concerned me with. But I voted yes at the time because I said we shouldn't just kill the process. We should at least give it an opportunity to go to the Senate, hear what they have to say, and then come together in a committee of conference. And by the time it had already started getting worked out in the Senate and they came to the committee of conference, it was clear they weren't willing to compromise. And that's what really got me upset about it, because I told them I would vote yes if they started working together with independent schools, and they did not. And so the point is, they're not going to probably start, letting their, foot off the gas in terms of the criteria for schools. They're probably going to continue with class size minimums. And they're going to try and reduce public dollars, I think, further. I think truly that 25%, I'm sure they will try to steadily push that out. I don't know if that will come this session, but this is still a long road.
But it's really what, but then county legislators obviously have a role here. The other question really quickly is, clearly healthcare costs are driving a lot more of it than anything else. Is that change in, sort of focus or language, anything that the Bennington County delegation is talking about, focusing on?
You're talking about the healthcare issue in general, or
The
specific?
healthcare issue as it pertains to education or.
The cost driver.
Everything.
Right.
Cost
Yeah.
driver, clearly healthcare.
So I'll go more into healthcare generally, but with healthcare and education in particular, I know that we're exploring options with other insurance companies to try and reduce what we're spending on that, because it's been going up quite a bit. I know with teacher retirements, we switched over the plan from it was with Blue Cross Blue Shield, I believe, and now they're on Health Spring. And that brought down the premium increase that they're going to see from 64% to now about 15% this year. And Health Spring, actually, they're about to enter into a contract with SBC. And there'll be network advocacy, as they call it, with all the other hospitals in the state. So that's the retired teachers. And I don't have specifics on what plan changes were for the current teachers that are in the schools right now. But there's definitely been talks about the fact that we put healthcare in the education budget when that's really not about education, that's separate from it. But I think I might be able to answer some of that in the healthcare piece right here. Hold on. So I was really grateful to be out in Salt Lake City last month for a 3-day conference on all the Medicaid changes that they're making at the federal level, and how states can still access matches and leverage, and see what will change both on the revenue side, but also the expenditure side. And before I dig into that though, I'm going to just talk about the premium increase. So originally, earlier in the year, you probably saw that it was going to be a 23% increase. Blue Cross Blue Shield and a lot of the other major healthcare insurance companies did, I will say, a commendable job in working with us in the legislature, but also willing to make hard cuts on their end without sacrificing as much patient services that they were anticipating to get the cost down to where it is. They brought it down to an average of 2% from that 23%. I think Blue Cross Blue Shield's plans are still a little higher of an increase than the average plan, but we were told by the fiscal office on Wednesday that the average premium increase in 2026 will be 2%. The average US increase is going to be 26%. So we're very lucky to not be going on that trajectory. We passed two major bills, Act 55, that was the prescription drug cap that we enacted. So that was 120% of average market, our average market price for certain outpatient drugs. And also hospital drugs as well, that we put in there. I forget what they said the total amount was from that, but that was the biggest driver for what we saw in reduction of hospital spending, even though hospital spending is still by and large almost the majority of what we spend on healthcare in Vermont. Act 68 was about reference-based pricing, so this hasn't fully gone into effect yet, but it just lays out the process to start comparing prices, start using essentially, I'm going to probably butcher my words here because I'm not on the healthcare committee, but I believe essentially a Medicare negotiating model where they're going to be able to bring down certain prices with that. The Green Mountain Care Board, now here's more of the larger numbers. Their total overall operational expenses that they cut across the board, including here at SVMC, but mainly it was up at UVM Medical Center, was $215 million this year. So that was good on them for exercising their authority and bringing down a lot of that unnecessary profit that's coming out, particularly from UVM. Not to slander them, but it is true. And then the one that I do want to go into, so right now, we're not going to see a major change in the revenue stream from the federal cuts that just went in place with Medicaid. We're going to see eligibility criteria start rolling out this year. But long-term, we're going to have to figure out how we fill that $130 million revenue gap by 2033. That's when the full effects of all the federal changes will come in. So we're going to work on that this session, hopefully, to get the provider tax, leveled out so that we're able to collect some other alternative form of revenue. Sorry to bore you with all the minutiae with that. I will just go into my committee updates because this does concern us here at home. The first one, if anyone attended the Bennington Select Board meeting yesterday, they did a great job of talking about the wastewater facility updates. I'm sure you probably were aware of some of the developments, but since that goes through my committee, I just want to talk about how the facility here in Bennington has been on the prioritization list. It's I would say it's moderately to upper rankings of where they're going to start wanting to spend money from the state level. It's going to require a bond vote either in March or November. That was what they said yesterday at the meeting, both the state official that was there, but also our wastewater people said that that'll one of those two. Based on that timeline, that'll probably be money that our committee will start to plan out for 2027 when they'll go out and receive those matches from the state. I don't know the exact calculation. It looks like the best option to go with, well, I won't say the best option to go with, but there's two options that we'll go with from the town level, is the $2.6 million kind of patchwork upgrade that would bring us up to code. It wouldn't be fully in compliance, so there'd still be violations once the permit fully goes into effect in 2029. There's also the other option, which is the $4.4 million. That would bring us into full compliance, but it would still, like I said, require a bond vote. And my understanding would be probably about a third of that money would be reimbursed from the state. So if we were to go, let's say with $4.5 million, the state would probably come in with about $1.5 million-ish of that. Again, that's rough figures based on my understanding of the grants that they'll apply for through the capital bill, but I would expect about that. With the battle monument, our committee came down and toured that facility in October. We talked about the phase 1A, where they're starting to do the design and maintenance plans. And for a lot of those committee members, it was their first time really spending a day in Bennington. They passed through, they've seen it, but they've never really been up front and close and kind of, in the community. So that was really important for them to see what Representative Morrissey and I, live and see every day. And for a lot of them, I think it was really touching to be down here. They went to the vet's home. They were able to go out into the community, so it was really good to have them down here. So hopefully we'll start appropriating money towards that. But my last final update is about the women's prison, because this actually kind of ties in with the monument. So the reason why right now they're essentially saying that they have not budgeted or have money for the monument is because we've been essentially, the committee's been working on it for several years with the governor's office on funding a new women's prison, which would cost the state about $90 million. And it would take about 5 years to build it. And the permit that they were applying for in Essex Junction got denied a few weeks ago. And that's thrown them off course by about 2 years. So instead of spending $18 million starting in, I believe it was 2028 was when they wanted to at least start expending dollars towards it. That's now probably going to be pushed out another 2 years, which frees up about $40 million for spending in the short term in those years. And we talked about the monument for a 5 to 10 year timeline. That's something I would hope that I can advocate for and that we'll start exploring as an option, because this is a huge historic preservation project that we're going to pursue. And if they need more time on the women's facility to think it over, to see if they even want to build a new women's facility, because it hasn't even been fully determined if they want to leave that space and go somewhere else. They may want to try and do some kind of, longer term maintenance project to keep that property where they are, which honestly, I don't see another area within a 10 or 15 mile radius wanting to see a new property for a prison being built. So they may have to stay on that property. We just have to spend money in a different way. And then lastly, okay, so covered that. Legislative forums, I'm gonna do 2. So felt like I covered a good chunk of things here that most people are interested in and concerned about. But on December 13th from 1 to 2, I'll be at Bennington College. December 15th from 12:30 to 1:30, I'll be at the Firehouse in Bennington at 130 River Street. If you're able to join.
Can you repeat those?
Yeah.
So we can get them in our notes.
December 13th, 1 to 2 p.m. Bennington College at the Center for Advancement of Public Action, CAPA. And then December 15th, 12:30 to 1:30, the Firehouse, 130 River Street. That is the address. Oh, I think. Yeah,
We can.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say, I think we all know where it is.
It's there.
We'll just make sure we put that in our minutes.
Perfect, awesome. Any last minute questions? I know that was a lot. Thank you.
No, thank you for all of
Thank you
that.
for, and apologies for the replacement stuff. I did
No,
not want to be, I just want to at least, I think prepare people.
Right, and we
Historically
usually
speaking.
discuss it at the annual meeting, and it is a hot button item with folks. And I just don't want, like I said, because folks innately hear the word reassessment, they assume their property value is gonna go through the roof.
Right.
And that's not the case. So that's the biggest piece of the puzzle is just, and like I said, if letters are out, I don't think I speak for just myself, I don't think anyone in North Bennington's received any sort of letter yet that it's begun.
I think that's our previous, we were just discussing financial, so that's our, yeah.
No problem.
Will, what's the, state budget all in all?
Right now, it's about $9.1 billion. That's for fiscal year 26.
Okay.
And that's gone up. I'm trying to remember the year prior, it was 8.7 billion. And we did have, a large increase in general fund spending because of COVID. We had a lot of federal monies that came in. And then of course we had economic stimulus that came from that. So it's gone up a little faster than overall economic growth, but it's been, I would say, pretty on par with that.
Good. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That's
Thank you, Will. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Will, one final question.
Yeah.
Where do I look to find this decision of the legislature to go with a voluntary approach?
I'll send that information to you. And then I'm gonna also, if you aren't on my newsletter, I'm gonna send one out late next week, kind of recapping from like July to now, all the major things that have happened with Act 73. So that way, you didn't get it all here, it'll be out on paper. And that should probably, right now, I'm at about 7 pages. I expect it to probably be at 10. Sorry for all the reading I will give you, but pick and choose from it what you want. But yeah, it'll be there so you can reference it, and we'll have links to several articles if
I
you want.
think we put this in our minutes before, but, just so that we get it in our minutes, this one. Those wanting to get on the mailing list, who do they email?
So they can email, so I send it out from my personal email account, since it is technically a personal newsletter, not official.
Okay.
But, they can just email my legislative one since it's online,
Yeah,
and I'll just
okay.
get it. So it's,
I have that
oh,
email.
you have that. Okay, perfect. And I'll make an announcement on Front Porch Forum, probably in
Oh, that's probably.
But yeah, I'm gonna make an announcement for the newsletter, but also for you guys, because you guys know our email addresses by the back of your hand pretty much. Our, we are changing IT systems, so that email address is gonna change. But if you have the old one, it's all gonna be put into a separate folder, and any responses made after January 1st will go into that folder, and I'll have to go access that separately.
Okay.
And I'm gonna probably switch over. I'll probably have like 3 days where I'm probably not gonna see any emails right after the new year, but not ignoring you, just, I don't have access to my email, so that, just making that little plug.
Thank you for
Thank you.
making the effort to come talk to us.
Yeah, great.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you. Okay, stay warm out there. DRB, we noticed, both the DRB and the Planning Commission, that we couldn't find minutes or notes where terms had been extended back in April for existing commission members. So Lori brought this to our attention. Thank you, Lori. And Lori, can you tell us what is the process that we should be doing now? I think we need to make motions. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you do need to make motions to appoint or reappoint whoever was not reappointed at that time.
Okay. Is this retroactive back to April so that it doesn't change? I mean, it's just acknowledging that the members have been serving on these committees ever since.
Correct. Right. And you have the list, right, Mary?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, so you'll need to do that for both of the commissions,
Two commissions.
DRB and the Planning Commission.
Okay.
Do you want them separate, or, I mean, do you want
No, we'll
all
do-
of the people in the DRB separately, or do you want them all together?
No,
I think-
there's only 2 that need to be done for DRB.
Yeah, so you can reappoint the 2 at the same time, retroactive to April of 25.
Yeah, so there are, yeah,
They have the
yes,
same
you do.
term.
I didn't see that.
Okay. Okay, so I will make a motion to continue the term of Hugh Crowell and Tara Lowry. And, for 3 years beyond 2024. And then the term of Kim Hall for 3 years beyond 2025,
I'll second it.
which brings us all up to date.
So that would make Hugh, Tara have terms ending in 2027. Kim Hall's term ends in 2028. That was seconded by Ray.
Yep.
All in favor? Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to report on DRB?
There is no meeting this month.
No meeting, okay.
Happy holidays.
Yes. Okay, we will move along to Planning Commission, of which there is no meeting this month either. But, I need a motion
For those two.
for those 2.
Okay, so for the planning commission, I make a motion to continue the term of Kim Hall for another 3 years to 2028, and the same for Mary Rogers to 2028.
From what date?
2025.
I'll make that motion.
You second that motion?
I'm making that motion, yeah.
Okay, I'll second it.
Seconded by Ray, all in favor?
Aye.
And this is presuming these folks are going to
Willing to
continue
serve,
in these willing
I
to
mean,
serve.
Kim and I are here.
Oh, they will.
Bob Maderos.
He was already.
We've got you on this. Okay, thank you. Kim, did you want to, make any comments about the planning commission?
Sure, I'll make a few comments. The short-term rental ordinance, I'm not sure exactly where that stands. I know that the trustees began their process of approval, but I don't know whether it's actually enacted yet.
No, I have to go look. We did all the steps required, but I don't remember the checklist of exactly how many days I believe, but I believe by our January meeting, it will be enacted.
Okay, at which point then I'll put in the date of
Yes.
adopted and enacted in
Yeah,
the last paragraph.
Yes, and everything that was posted, I hand wrote the adopted dates on what was posted in the 5 locations.
Okay,
And then that also was done for the notice that was in the newspaper, that the summary of that. And I believe there was 45 days after that notice that the public had to appeal or make a comment.
right.
And I
Okay.
had only one question from a member of the public after that notice came out. So at least some members of the public have seen that and paid attention.
Okay, there was some discussion that someone was going to contact the people who are actually currently running short-term
Did
rentals.
that. I did the 2 that I knew of.
Okay. Second item, we are working on the property management ordinance and have decided to separate the open burn ordinance to be a separate item. And we'll be working on that again in the new year. And we're pretty close on the property management ordinance. We haven't really dived into the open burn ordinance much at this point. We're also working on the unsafe building ordinance, and that is well along, but it is not our top priority. We're trying to get the property management and burn ordinances done first. Lastly, we were given an introduction to the land use planning effort by the state 2 meetings ago, I guess, by BCRC. And we were given an assignment to look at how we might structure our map of Tier 1B areas. These are areas that are exempt from Act 250. They're divided into 2, one the village center, one a neighborhood area. We went and completed that effort and voted it out of the commission, sent it to BCRC, and they came back with significant changes saying that the state wouldn't approve this or wouldn't approve that. So we're going to ask BCRC to come back to the Planning Commission and see if we can't resolve this map before we take it to the trustees and explain what it's all about. So that will happen in the new year. And apparently, we need to write an annual report, which I did not realize by the 10th of January.
I think, I can't remember how that got done last year, but.
Yeah, I wrote one last year.
You did, yes. Sorry,
So
yes, so, yeah.
I'll
You
be
and I
doing that
can work
again.
on that. Yes.
Yeah. And not specific to the Planning Commission, but as part of our efforts to support the village school, I did write a letter to the editor of the banner and got it published.
Yes. Thank you for doing that.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Bob, did you have anything you wanted to add? Nope. Mary? Anything?
No, thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Beth.
That's our report then.
All right. Yes, we all get a little bit of a reprieve in the month of December from at least a couple of meetings. Okay. Moving along to old business. Did anybody have any old business they'd like to talk about? Nope. Well, not any new business. Nope, not full of ideas tonight. Seeing none. Any comments, questions from the audience or Zoom participants? Nope, I see heads shaking.
Well, I do have
Oh,
a question.
Go.
Are we basically done with the sort of discovery part of putting this budget together? Are there other things?
I think so.
Yes, we are. We have none of the other recipients other than Jenny have asked for an increase. BCRC, oh, thank you for that. BCRC did send a letter. Their $5,000 is gonna be the same for this year. They did send a annual report and a kind of a list of projects that they're working on. I have scanned that just late this afternoon, so I'll send that to all trustees and commission and committee members, so people know what BCRC is doing as it.
I didn't get the report, Mary.
Pardon?
I did not get the report for the.
No, you dropped it. I think you gave it to me. It was in a big envelope.
Oh, okay, but I have to have a PDF of their report. Everything that comes to me for the reports, for the annual report, has come by email in PDF format.
Okay, this is a very lengthy report that BCRC did for their annual year.
Oh, okay, I
It's the
understand.
same thing that we do.
We don't usually, they always
Yeah.
send one, but not at that length. It's.
Yeah,
usually-
this one is very lengthy.
Okay,
Maybe what I can do is call and see if they just want their projections, their action list for 2026. Maybe that would be the appropriate thing to put in. I can ask.
yeah, or he can just send me what he'd like to send me.
I'll ask.
Maybe he just hasn't done it yet, that's all,
Okay,
for the town.
I'm making a note. Okay, thank you. Okay, got that. Anything else, Ray? Any other comments, concerns, questions?
Well, the village school winter concert is the 16th at 6:30 in the gymnasium. And Jean may have an announcement about any events that South Shore is producing. at that
South
time.
Shire's annual play is Wednesday 17th at Bennington College.
Is that at Bath something?
It's in the small, my understanding was in the small theater,
Okay,
let me just double
Lester Martin or something.
saying that, yeah, the 17th at maybe at 5. At 5 in the small theater.
Okay. And the winter concert at the school is what time, Ray?
6:30.
6:30. You probably said that and I didn't write it down.
I'm happy to say it.
Thank you, because it's a lovely.
Great,
concert.
yeah, they
Yes.
do a great job.
Yes. Okay, okay then, it is, believe it or not, it is 8:13. If we have nothing else, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Seconded, all in favor, I see thumbs up out there. Thank you all, have a marvelous holiday,
Yeah,
whatever
you
you
too.
do.
Yeah.
And, I should have mentioned, but I know we adjourned, so. Lori, is it okay that I just send you Norm said that he's all ready for the snow tomorrow, and he's got all the stockpile of salt he probably will need for the winter. I should have said that, okay?
See the.
All right, I'm ending the, meeting and the recording. Thank you all.
Just thought on the phone.